Hello everybody, I'm Dreamon and welcome back to a new review of mine. Now I do have to add first that I did not think that I would do another review again, but I'm just too damn excited for this game. I'll start off with saying that after the crappy digestion and foul taste that remained in my mouth for several weeks after Aliens Colonial Marines was released, it did make me very suspicious about this title as well. But we'll start off with the basics of the game. By the way, put on some diapers because it might get scary.
I'm Samuels.
Now I'm not gonna spoil much of the story. All I can say is that the story is set between the first two movies where Ellen Ripley is flying adrift through space. Now her daughter, called Amanda Ripley, is looking for her missing mother and why she had self-destructed the space station she was on. This is even hinted in the beginning of the director's cut version of the second movie. Basically, all that Amanda and her crew have as a lead is a flight recorder that was salvaged from the Nostromo. So this means they will have to go to the Sevastopol station in order to obtain it. Now very rapidly in the game you will get separated from your crew members, and this is where the actual fun in the game starts. And you'll soon find out why it's called isolation. Because other than a few space station crew members, you won't find much else there, and most of the time you will be spending alone while you have just discovered that a starving alien is hunting you and the remaining crew members.
I hear something. Fuck if I go on me.
So don't be fooled that this game is actually not really packed full with action from beginning to ending, even though you can have weaponry to defend yourselves. But the sole purpose of this game is to keep you on the edge of your seat by giving you as little gear as possible. But this is where this game in the horror survival genre shines and destroys most other recent wannabe horror survival games like Resident Evil 6 or Dead Space 3. Now I do not really dare to use the word awesome too often, but in terms of graphics and atmosphere, this game really hits the sweet spot. The game just looks mind-blowingly good on ultra settings, and even more great is that it doesn't even use up a lot of memory or overall performance of your PC or console. The game is extremely well optimized from the start, so I don't think people will have to wait long for patches that actually need to make the game playable. Everything in this game drips of detail and just shows how many attention and care that went into this game. But do keep in mind that not everything has had this much needed attention in the details, like for example the lip syncing for the voice acting and cutscenes that suddenly drop to a really low FPS rate. But besides that, everything is just great. Now in terms of atmosphere, this game just breeds fear and suspension. Even simple design decisions like making the game look completely like the original movie and build everything in that 70s retro style makes the game so much better. For example, everything looks clunky, bulky, big and old. Computers with the size of a fat man's body and so on. All makes this game feel so much more alive and fit right into the Alien universe. I even dare say that the 70s retro style adds to the suspension and fear in this game, because everything you have to activate or interact with takes ages to complete. Something as simple as pulling a lever to power up a generator takes often more than a few seconds. And if you keep in mind that everything happens in real time, by which I mean that the game does not pause when you activate something or even try to save your progress through a console, then you will realize that this means that every time you interact with an object, you can get attacked by the alien. Even simple things like looting boxes and chests while the alien is in the vicinity, which will again add to the game's suspension and fear factor. Something else that adds the biggest fear factor in the game is the alien itself. Now we all knew from the movies that the aliens were powerful and fast, but this thing brings it to a whole different level. It is the complete opposite of the crappy brainless aliens that came in waves at you in Aliens Colonial Marines. That was the wrong kind of a brainless action survival game. No, in fact, this alien has the most advanced AI I've ever seen in a game. At least if you play on a hard difficulty, because on the easy difficulty the alien is just dumbed down to a more predictable doofus. However, if you do play on hard or higher, then you got a nasty thing coming your way. I mean, this thing is the ultimate badass, even worse than in the movies. It is so damn smart that I think that the AI program that controls the alien learns from your behavior and actions and adjusts to that the further you go through the game. What I mean by this is that in the first 4 levels, which is roughly between 3 and 5 hours into the game, the alien feels kind of meh. The first few encounters you have with it really feel scripted and can be easily avoided because it's so predictable. However, once you're past the medical laboratory, this thing becomes a lot more alert and will try a lot of different tactics to flush you out of hiding. For example, when you think you've lost it, it will more often just circle around you in the air vents above you. Or if it spots you and you do manage to get away or block its path, then don't think you're safe yet, because it will actually plan a new alternate route through the floor or ceiling to get to the same room that you have been last spotted in. This can sometimes take only mere seconds before it has found a new way to reach you. Another example is that, for example, when you use specific weaponry against it, like flamethrower, it will get quite pissed off at you and will find a new way to deal with the threat of fire, like for example turning on the sprinkler system. I even had one time where I thought I was safe and I thought that he left, but when I got out of the room I was shocked to realize that he was just waiting outside the door for me. It is unbelievable how smart and fast it is, but do not despair, because they do give you hints where the alien is roughly located. One of those hints is, for example, the hissing and drooling you see coming out of an air vent in the ceiling, which obviously means that you shouldn't approach it. Another fear factor comes from androids that go berserk somewhere in the beginning of the game. The reason for that is because they look completely lifeless and basic. However, I wouldn't really define it as fear, but more like an uncomfortable feeling, something eerie or creepy. Now this feeling is comparable to when you see a doll come running at you with a knife in its hand. It's not true horror, but it is damn creepy. Now, for some of you that might think that once the element of surprise is gone after you first encounter the droids or alien, the fear will completely vanish and that all you are left with is a boring game for over 15 hours. Well, of course the level of fear decreases once you've seen the monster, but then the feeling of fear gets replaced by extreme suspense, because you're constantly looking around you like a madman, which is a creepy feeling and constant state of suspense that the motion tracker will enhance even further, because you just don't want that alien to grab you, and this works pretty well from start till end. Especially the noises you hear will often make you run on the tip of your toes. Another addition to fear and suspense is the audio, which is both a clue giver and a fear factor enhancer. Sound can give you both hints towards the position of enemies, or also give you the creeps, or even give away your own position. Sound is absolutely vital in this game, so a good headset or surround system is advised. Sound is also what mainly triggers the alien to move towards you when you're not in line of sight of it. So quite a lot of things like shooting, sprinting and so on are absolutely last resort options. So be sure that there are hiding spots nearby when you do this. Especially gunshots make the alien come your way in less than 5 seconds, so if you do not have a hiding spot nearby, then it's bye bye for you and hello Happy Meal for the alien. Even the dumbest things like letting books fall or hitting the wall with your wrench or even the bleep sound of your motion tracker actually make the alien aware of your position. Like for example this situation where I only had a table to hide beneath while the alien was looking for me after I dropped a bottle. Now, besides the sound being vital in terms of gameplay, the soundtrack is also very nice. It is either music from the first movie or music that fits right into that genre. So even something as simple as soundtracks adds more suspense and fear to the game. Well, you might have wondered this whole time if a game that only revolves around running from point A to point B while avoiding an alien can actually stay interesting for over 15 hours. Well, it actually does, to be honest, which is mainly thanks to the fear factor and the feeling of being hunted and trying to survive. On that field, this game is a true survival horror game. Heck, it even has its own crafting system that allows you to combine simple parts into simple items like a medkit and a flare, or even complicated things like pipe bombs. It all adds to the realism of the game. However, there are some things that are slightly flawed in my opinion, like the way you are forced into one direction and have to revisit levels over 3 times. But I think that forcing you into one direction helps the fear factor for this game a lot. Like for example the level where you have to find ways around the alien that is patrolling the medical labs while you have to complete several objectives while that thing is breathing down your neck. After all, you're on a space station, so it is designed to be compact and in turn will make you claustrophobic as well. Although it is an argument that possibly ruined other games like Doom 3. In that game the small corridors and hallways didn't work to its advantage. But on the other hand, in Alien Isolation you do get the feeling like there is more out there, which is mainly thanks to the outside views, which are breathtaking by the way. Now, like I mentioned before, you have a very limited weaponry to shoot with. Mainly it will be either a pistol or a flamethrower, but both these weapons cannot kill the creature, for obvious plot reasons of course, duh. Even very powerful weapons like the pipe bombs will only temporarily disable the alien and make it run away again. So your main tactics exist of avoiding the alien and drawing its attention by luring it with noise grenades or flares. But even though it might sound awkward, the fact that you're very limited in weaponry helps the game build up fear and suspense. Just imagine how afraid you would still be of the alien after you've gotten yourself a complete arsenal that can blow the entire space station to oblivion. Right, not very much indeed. The only thing that I do not really like in all of this is how they keep teasing with multiple possible endings. But the game just keeps going and keeps finding ridiculous ways to keep the alien alive and coming back after you, even you thought you destroyed it for good. So yes, indeed, after a while you might actually get annoyed by the duration of the game, but luckily the game doesn't feel boring at all, except if you keep dying a lot. Well, to be honest, I wasn't really expecting a great title after Aliens Colonial Marines, and even more funny is that the developer isn't even used to making shooters, survivals, or horror games for that matter. They usually just make real-time strategy games and that's it. So if you keep that in mind, then I think you can call it a big success. Everything falls right into place and adds up to the suspense and fear that you should have when you're near an alien. This game neither feels boring or repetitive, even though the linearity of your objectives would often ruin other AAA games. But then again, this game isn't about completing quests or being the ultimate badass in space. No, it's all about surviving a horrible adventure against another super badass that seems to be nigh invincible. The atmosphere, story, design style and graphics all give the game that little extra that makes it that more special and of course a lot more scary. If you want to have a true horror experience or just something to pass your time with while shitting your pants of suspense, then this must be an instant buy for you. My name is Dreamon, the Belgian Waffle. I've been your host for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it, and I'll see you guys next time. By the way, if you guys are able, please share and favorite these videos if you're already a subscriber. It would help me out a lot.